known and worked with Reverend for nearly 20 years, and I know that he cares so much about those who've sacrificed their lives for the sake of our freedoms. When we were pouring the concrete for the base of this memorial, Reverend purposely cut his finger and spilled his own blood into the concrete as what he called a symbolic gesture in solidarity with our fallen soldiers. He said that he had already put in a lot of sweat and plenty of tears, and now the empty chair memorial had blood, sweat, and tears all mixed in together. I am filled with awe as we stand here today to dedicate and unveil this memorial to all of America's fallen soldiers. I am in awe of the sacrifices that our soldiers have made. I am in awe of this great country. And I am in awe of the man who had a dream to honor those fallen heroes and build this empty chair memorial right in his front yard.
I live by, and in our religion, I teach people to live by God's guidance daily in all important things of our lives. And I live that way myself. And this dream that I had that inspired this memorial was clearly a guidance from God. Now, in our religion, we presume and we insist that God will not guide us to do harm to ourselves or to anyone else. So it's very safe to take God's guidance. And this dream was so crystal clear, it was so profound, that I was left with the distinct impression that the great architect of the universe really wanted this built.
Never forget.
Where are we at? What are we doing? We're at Fort MacArthur. This is an unused fort. It's been closed for a long time. It's been converted over into places for artists and social groups and community groups. I think it's the SEAL rescue place down here. You can hear them barking in the background. And today they're having a reenactment. They have people from all different, dressed up like all different kinds of wars, and they come down here and they reenact battles. We're down here to see if we can recruit a few people to come and reenact a dream that I had in front of the empty chair memorial. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think so too. I see smoke cadets in the back.
Just a bunch of...
Hey!
We have a fellow in Pennsylvania who is going to make a mold. He's going to make an actual 3D model of this scene that represents the dream, and then we're going to have them cast and sell them to help raise money for the memorial in Washington, D.C.
So the idea was to come down to the reenactment to try to get the realistic people
Yeah.
as possible.
Yeah, oh yeah. This is the place. Oh, this is amazing.
Unam, duo, tres, cuatro.
we can come down and pick people up.
Left, right. Go left, 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 right. Go left, 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 right.
We need somebody with a Vietnam. No, I have nothing against the one. And you were talking.
Oh, 10. Hut. Hand. Salute. Ready. Go.
Thanks, guys.
The dream that led to this memorial was distinct. I was about to hear the alarm go off on one Monday morning, probably a year or so, or about a year ago, and I had one of those waking dreams wherein I saw this grassy hill, and I walked up the hill, and there was something at the top of the hill that looked kind of like I couldn't make it out, but I wanted to see what it was. And I walked up the hill, and there was this memorial, the memorial you see behind me. And I walked through it, I walked around it, I could feel the texture of the chair, I could feel the coolness of the wall. I ran my hands over the military emblems that were on the wall and over the letters. I could feel everything about this wall. And when I came away from it, there was no other significance to the dream. It was just there. And when I came away from that dream, I knew, as I said, that the great architect of the universe was giving me my marching orders to build this memorial.
Well, he went through a period where he was actually a protester, and I think he feels it's right. And he's met some great people, and feels that they made the ultimate sacrifice, many people, and he just wants to be part of that and encourage it.
Met him about 5 years ago. Then it kind of led on from there. Then told him I would join the Marine Corps. He gave me a piece of paper that says, "You'll see me when you're ready." In a dream. And I kept telling I worked at Carissimo, and he'd come there every day. And I was like, I didn't see you yet. I didn't see you. I dreamt last night, I didn't see you. Until about a month later, he says, just wait when you're ready. After I signed the papers to enlist, I saw him in a dream.
You know, I got to know Reverend Friend and a number of his colleagues when he wanted to start up a Memorial Day parade here in Redondo Beach. You know, we had never really had a hometown parade for some years, and the idea of honoring our veterans and those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, I felt was a wonderful, overdue idea, very frankly.
I met Bhagavan 22 years ago when he was in the peace movement, and we got together and hung out for a while when the draft was coming around. So that's how I met him, and then we've maintained relationships since then. Yeah, I was real surprised how close it was to the rendering. He actually stayed true to the coloration, everything, and when they lit it up that night, we came by one night and they lit it, it was perfect. It looked just pretty close to what we had imagined, so that was nice to see. And he took the chair style that I gave him. Everything's, you know, almost exact.
No, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It's hard work. It was a hard work, and it wasn't easy. It's just have to work hard to do it, and I have to have the tools to do it, and I guess you call it man and labor. So, hard, no, you know, it was hard. It wasn't nothing easy.
I dedicate this memorial to all of America's fallen soldiers that have sacrificed the most precious thing that we have, more precious than money, more precious than anything else, our lives, to America and freedom. God bless you all. God bless America.
We'll get together for lunches or dinners or what have you, and he told me about this dream that he had had and how real it was, and that he felt that he received a message from God about building this monument, and I think it speaks for itself. I think it's incredible what he's done, especially in the short amount of time that he's done it in. But that's Bhagavan for you. He accomplishes the impossible in a very short time. What might take somebody forever and not even be able to complete it, he manages to get it done. He's a very drawing sort of person. He has a lot of charisma, and he's able to draw talent and resources.
I do teach that when God guides, God provides. And one of the ways we distinguish between our own imaginations and God's guidance is that when God does guide us to do something, somehow God provides all of the material that's necessary to do it. We started this with no money and no knowledge of how to build this memorial. One person after another came and volunteered their services.
He came over, got ideas, rough sketches, some just real odd ideas of how it should look, but the overall essence he had in his mind is just a matter of he just needed it fine-tuned. So I just kind of put the coloration, and really what he needed is somebody to be able to see it. So I rendered it into a 3D graphics program, made it so people could look at it at different angles, figure out the lighting, and make it tangible, I think, to people before it was built, so they would get more interested in it.
On Sunday, we had come home from lunch, and we were out here staring at the platform, which was done, and looking at the next part of it, which was the wall. And Reverend Friend's like looking at it thinking, how am I going to get a curved wall? How am I going to do this? And this guy was walking down the street with his little girl headed to the beach, and he stopped and said, what are you guys doing? And Reverend Friend proceeded to tell him, well, we're trying to figure out how to form up a curved wall for this memorial. And this guy stepped forward and said, oh, I'm working down at the Getty Museum. I've been doing curved walls for a couple of years now. I'll come over and help and build it. And that was just the whole spirit of how things just kind of kept falling in place like that.
I got my mind set on doing the regular. You guys come on over here. Yeah, come on in here.
Concrete to set up a little bit. They brought it too wet. We asked for a 4-inch, and they brought like a 5 or 6 inch slump, and so it's got to set up a little bit, otherwise it runs right out of the bottom of the form. And I sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I'm just repeating what I heard.
Starting back up again. There you go, smile.
Playing in the mud.
Yep, playing in the mud. Woo!
I'm playing in the mud.
So that's why we play with mud when we're 5.
Well, I know about him honoring his family, and I live right around the corner. And it came to the dedication. I was terribly moved by it. It was wonderful. The Vietnam boots especially got to me. But just the whole thing of a place for a soldier to rest when he was tired.
I think over time it'll do a lot of good. Right now, I don't know what the opinions are out there, but when it comes down to it, say 10 years from now, I just hope it keeps reminding people what we have to do and what we have to keep doing in order to live the way we do. So that's what I hope it'll do.
This one guy literally brought tears to his eyes and said, you know, this just reminds me of my buddies that I've lost. And, you know, to see it bring, you know, men to tears like that and move them like that, you know you're doing something good, be it healing or whatever.
I think it's important that this country never forget what the men did for freedom in this country.
It's tremendous. I mean, I think too often we really don't pay the tribute that we should to those that have really paid the ultimate sacrifice for all of us. And it's just a tremendous honor, I think, to have something like this built in our city. And it's not even on public land. It's something that's at a private home.
I was very moved by his wish that a memorial like this be placed in every capital in the United States, all 50 of them. And I have several clients that live in Washington that are very important people, and I sent them his dedication program, and they were very impressed, so maybe one day that will happen.
The favorite experience that I've had in building this memorial is kind of twofold. For one thing, it was the way people came together selflessly, unselfishly, and put their hearts and their minds together to build this memorial. We worked together as a team. Every single person was a person who did this unselfishly, and they worked together as a team. They'd never seen each other before. The second thing is what happens now that it's built. People come by and they cry and they leave flowers and they think about the people that they loved who have gone on, and I think it's helping them to heal in some way. Hopefully it will help the younger generation to remember those folks that gave their lives, that made the ultimate sacrifice, gave everything so that we can live free and our children can sleep safe in their beds at night.
I lost quite a few buddies out there. Driving through the streets, get cut off. Sometimes I think people take it for granted here by what I see in the streets. So this memorial is a reminder to me that, hey, not everybody takes it for granted. All my buddies that went down over there, they didn't go down for nothing. So that's what it means to me.
I guess more the group spirit of bringing people together in the community, and just how Reverend Friend and the whole project managed to bring the goodness out of people from all walks of life, and to really unite people in something common.
Well, you know, in our country today, because of the far left, the whole concept of God in our country, in our government, anywhere, schools, is under assault. It's under constant attack. There's a false notion that there should be a constant or an impenetrable wall between church and state in this country. That is not in the Constitution. It was Thomas Jefferson's opinion, and it's been turned into law by the courts. I think maybe God is trying to give us a message that, at least on private property here, that we should be honoring our soldiers and keeping the tie between God and our soldiers and our government, and without the government dictating religion, but that God plays a very powerful role in our free society, and our soldiers are the ones that keep our society free.
Well, it's something that needs to be said, that we should remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice for us. Freedom isn't free, and thank God for men and women that have sacrificed so that we can be here today and we can live in this great country with the freedom we've got and the liberty we have.
This has everybody's name on it without it being there, if you know what I'm saying. It speaks for all of them. And yeah, I would like it to, and I'd like to see more of these. I know Bhagavan is interested in having one of these at each of the state capitals, and I'd like to see that. And maybe the original in Washington, and maybe one extra that might travel around like the Vietnam Wall does.
That's something that's just for Redondo Beach. It's really for our nation. And I think things like this really start at home in local communities. And I'm really heartened by the fact that Reverend Friend is going to, it has as a goal to really spread this throughout other parts of the nation, in DC and maybe other state capitals around the state, because I think the empty chair is an important symbol, and it's really a very powerful and moving symbol for all of us to never forget the sacrifices that have been made for the quality of life and the freedoms that we have here today.
I think it's very important to, with our generations there are generations today that believe that a lot of this stuff never happened, or that it's not because of what our forefathers did that, affords us our freedom today. And I think that by doing a memorial like this just conveys the fact of what happened in the past, and it's almost like, just so they never forget. And that's the biggest thing, so no generation ever forgets the sacrifices that our forefathers made for us.
I don't think we could ever give enough thanks or pay enough tribute to those that have given their all. You can't do any more than that, and there's just not enough thanks for that. That's a heck of a price tag.
Well, what I want them to get out of it is a healing for friends, family, sons, daughters lost in the name of freedom and America. And it appears that that is what's happening. A number of people have come by and stood at the wall here, at the fence, and looked at this memorial, and I see them from the window upstairs, and they cry. And they bring flowers, and they put flowers there. One fellow said that his uncle had passed away, who was, I believe, a World War II veteran, and he couldn't get back to where his aunt lived, so he was going to put flowers here and take pictures of it and send them to his aunt as a memorial to his uncle. It's providing a healing place. It's also a place to remind people that the only thing that stands between us and slavery and tyranny is that band of brothers that we call the military.
I brought Corporal Preuss. He's one of the guys I work with, and yeah, I mentioned it to them, and a lot of them are very happy that a civilian actually took the time out, and I showed them the pictures of how much it took to make this happen, and they appreciate it very much.
Well, I think it would be equal or better than any memorials we have, because it honors all servicemen of all wars: Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, Army, Marine Corps. It's very, very important to me that we remember the men that have died in the service of their country, and it's a very emotional issue with me, and it's you know, I drive by it every morning and I kind of salute it every morning. It's a very special thing that a man would have this kind of a vision, and I respect him for it. And I think everybody that's seeing this is very awestruck by it. Yeah, it's very emotional to me.